and I have a gun pressed to my head.
Guys, get a perimeter up! Get on the ground!
What's going through your mind in those moments?
What just happened? What were your intentions? And oh my God.
Hands up! Hands up!
This whole crime is just out of control.
The crimes have played out in parking lots and driveways across the Twin Cities, leaving behind hundreds of victims, with more than 600 carjackings in Minneapolis last year alone, 100 in St. Paul, along with a trail of thousands of stolen vehicles spread across the suburbs, brazenly taken in broad daylight as homeowners and neighbors helplessly watch.
He's losing control. Driver's out of the vehicle.
All building to dangerous showdowns on our streets.
Get on the ground, Rep! The county sheriff's office!
Usually every time when we do this, they jump out of the car and they start fleeing on foot.
For the first time, ride along with one team focused on turning things around, as calls for safety from all sides get louder.
And I begged the probation officer, please do not let my son off this bracelet because I'm just not comfortable. I just, please don't. And she said, I have to because that's what the judge ordered.
Yeah, last page has some good addresses, so we will cover those, run plates.
Ramsey County's carjacking auto theft, or CAT team, is at the start of its shift when members pour over a list of the day's stolen cars.
By the time I woke up and started monitoring my phone, and the time I got to work was about a 2-hour period, there was at least 9.
Nine. Just in Ramsey County?
Yeah, just in Ramsey County.
Deputy Joe Kill has been a part of the team since it formed in September. On patrol, he constantly runs license plates throughout Minnesota's smallest and most densely populated county, with the goal of finding stolen vehicles.
We're going to a 769 case, and it looks like it's going to be for a unoccupied, stolen.
We're with Deputy Kill just minutes before one is located in a back alley in St. Paul. It's where we meet Dennis, who noticed it was gone in the morning when he tried to leave for work.
I went outside and the car that wasn't supposed to be in the spot wasn't there.
Dennis discovered his catalytic converter had been cut off. Whoever took his Honda had it an hour before dumping it some 20 miles from his house in Fridley.
It's ridiculous. Well, people gotta have better things to do.
I got an unoccupied stolen off of Hoyt.
Soon after, Deputy Kill finds a stolen SUV just a few miles away, its tires swiped and windows smashed.
So the vehicle was stolen in St. Paul on the 30th, on 1:30 at 12:11.
While deputies work to track who took these latest cars, in the 5 months since forming the unit, they've found teenagers are usually responsible.
That's how it started. It was just the sheriff's vision to put it with us so that we could hit the ground running and go look at these kids we had been following already.
Sergeant Rich Altieri explains how a state grant is behind their work, bringing 2 investigators and a prosecutor together to work with the intelligence unit to finally pull the puzzle apart.
When the auto theft grant came along, we were able to put a full-time investigator into the role of looking at those folks, and then they put 2 investigators in other roles, one with the county attorney's office and one with a juvenile outreach. The kids that are the most prolific, we know them well. We know them, we know their family structure, we've contacted their guardians, we've arrested them several times.
Ramsey County has identified 20 kids as the core group behind most carjackings and auto thefts in the area. The unit's unconventional maneuver to box thieves in while they're behind the wheel has paid off.
We do not chase, we have unmarked cars, we try to blend in, watch a stolen car until it lights somewhere, and we can safely converge and arrest whoever's driving, whoever's in the car.
Usually every time when we do this, they jump out of the car and they start fleeing on foot.
Just as they did in this case, box them in and the 2 inside bail.
Hands up! Hands up!
And you call these a couple males, but they're kids.
Yep. One was 14 and one was 16.
And they have loaded guns.
Both had loaded handguns.
And they're in a stolen car.
And they were in a stolen car.
When you talk to your son, what does he say? Why does he do this?
For the thrill. He said, Mom, I was just doing it for the thrill. I like the thrill.
Tisha is candid about her son's story. He started stealing cars at the age of 10.
Yeah, I've chased him several times myself, and so have the Ramsey County Sheriff's deputies.
He's 14 now and incarcerated again, just days after his mom did what she could to keep his movements monitored.
And I begged the probation officer, please do not let my son off this bracelet because I'm just not comfortable. I just, please don't. And she said, I have to because that's what the judge ordered.
Part of it is because the justice system hasn't taken young kids seriously. They continue to put them back at home, and that, in her case, that's what happened. You know, they would keep releasing him back to her care, and she would say, hey, I need help. I need someone to help me get him a timeout, get him the proper programming, the proper medication, etc. Just sending him back home to me isn't going to change his behavior. We're struggling to figure out how to help these kids, but the judges are releasing children back to home or back to halfway houses because they do not have options.
Ramsey County Sheriff Bob Fletcher says those options are limited following a movement to close juvenile correctional facilities in the Twin Cities.
Well, Boys Totem Town closed, but they never constructed the facility in Richfield because some activists were against it. So now we really have limited facilities.
I have to go to the root of it because my son just didn't wake up all of a sudden and want to start carjacking.
Tisha believes 6 months of intense treatment covering addiction and mental health could make a difference.
And my son told the therapist that I learned how to carjack by playing Grand Theft Auto. That is serious.
In the game, you get points for carjacking people and for stealing nicer cars. And we know now from interviewing these kids, they've done the same thing in real life.
It's a game of I'm gonna harm you, I'm going to terrorize you.
The popular public safety advocate turned citizen journalist behind Crime Watch Minneapolis agreed to speak out for this story.
You didn't want to show your face. We're changing your voice out of safety concerns. What have you had to deal with trying to get this information out there?
People started becoming angry, you know, the always offended crowd became angry about what I was posting because, you know, facts would come out that they didn't want to hear, they didn't want to face about who's committing crime, the revolving door that people support. You know, there's a lot of people that don't want anybody going to prison, that don't want anybody being punished for crimes that happen.
Crime Watch has more than 300,000 followers across social media.
Developing Richfield, report of a shooting at a school, 3 EMS rigs ordered.
Pushing out real-time information from scanners and other sources.
Report of a person shot in the face. Another person reportedly told 911 that they fired shots at someone who tried to carjack them.
They've been tracking carjackings and auto thefts in real time for years, while calling out what they call a lax criminal justice system, from judges on down.
My goal was to share information. I've been angry about the lack of information put out by officials, by police, by the media. I already knew that the media wasn't covering everything, but after I started doing this, I realized the media is covering a tiny, tiny fraction of what really happens. People deserve to have information. They need to know what's going on in their neighborhoods. He's wanted, not in custody. He has 22 prior convictions, including at least 21 felonies. Still walking around. People are always shocked when they see these people revolving through the door, and I'll post something about a guy who got arrested for stealing a vehicle, and they're like, oh, that guy's going to prison. I'm like, no, he's not. He's going to steal 8 more vehicles before he ever sees the light of prison, if that.
And carjacked at gunpoint.
Becky didn't want us to use her last name after what happened at a Target parking lot in Burnsville in 2020.
Halfway in, halfway out of my car, I'm still looking at my phone. Basically, gentleman comes up. I don't even know what he said, and I have a gun pressed to my head.
The struggle to surrender her Jeep left her bruised. Police caught the man with a lengthy record, Dustin McLeod, using Becky's credit cards at Mall of America.
You said, though, that this changed everything for you.
Oh, yeah. Panic attacks, PTSD, you're agitated. You don't want to be alone in public parking lots. You don't sleep. Constant on guard.
Now you're traumatized for life. Now the world is a scarier place than it was. So that's, we can't fix that, but we can try to get that person into custody.
Just as Ramsey County's CAT team has so far, arresting 50 juveniles and 12 adults and recovering more than 100 stolen vehicles.
They're coming back in a hijacked vehicle out of Samuels Park.
Listen to one of their latest arrests from January, when the team spotted 2 teenagers on a 10-day crime spree involving 35 cars.
He turned around now eastbound 494 from Concord.
Kashawn Wortman and Nautica argue led several agencies on a 45-minute chase through the metro.
Now he's going east 94.
Before Ramsey County's team
On the ground.
tracked them back to a house in St. Paul.
Both parties in custody, all under control.
As big of a dysfunction as it is, it's still a group probably of 80 to 100 children. And if you take that as a percentage of the totality of the kids in the metro area, we can defeat this problem.
Thank you very much from the sheriff's office and everyone else. And this is a bad guy that we arrested today.
We are very happy to help.